You're now listening to Mushroom Man FM, where we play nothing but Invoked, Dogmatica, and Shadows. This ain't your Yugi Boomers station.
3, 2, 1, go. Are we ready?
Yeah.
Cool. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the pilot episode of Branded Boys. I'm here. It's me, Mushroom Man. I'm here with my co-star, the Burn.
Hello there, nice to meet you.
And I'm here with my roommate, Brock.
Hello.
It's Brock. Yeah, I'm sorry. We tried to get Jesse Cotton in, but it just didn't work out like I thought it would.
He will return our email one day. It's
Yeah, I probably shouldn't have sent him like 38,000 gigabytes of shifter.
Oh, we are off to a great start.
I honestly dare you to do that.
I can't wait for him to do that, and then his live reaction is just him vomiting over the table again.
So shall we start with the show?
Yeah. So we're here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh, and then for the first half, and then we'll just go into random tidbits because we get bored of Yu-Gi-Oh, because who likes fucking playing Yu-Gi-Oh, right?
Me.
So no one. Okay, no one important. Speaking of people important, Brock here just came top 4 in what was it? Regional? Was it a Brisbane regional?
The Brisbane region.
Yes, 101 people.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy. Me and Burnsy haven't really done anything like that, unfortunately. But you know, we like doing important stuff like having girlfriends.
There's something to be said to be a lifelong admirer of the top tables from a distance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It sucks being table 500.
That's where all the funny stories happen. What do you mean?
Yeah, like the time I got fucking destroyed in time. Let's talk about the post Phantom Darkness, or Phantom Nightmare rather, tier list. I've sent on our private Discord a message to the boys saying what my predictions are going to be. So first off, we have probably the elephant in the room. We have the Diabellstar deck. So Diabellstar Fire King and Diabellstar Rescue Ace. Now, Fire King is definitely something that we have a lot to talk about. I think a lot of people have been playing it just based purely on the fact of first time looking and recognition. But I think the more and more that the format goes on, I think this deck will go from tier 1 all the way down to a Rogue. What do you think, Burns?
It's interesting because like the deck does a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, and I will defer to your knowledge when it comes to actually like constructing the tier list. I think that the deck is propped up a little bit by the Diabellstar and the Snake Eye engine, but like I don't know that I would say Rogue specifically. I think it still does quite a bit. I do think the things it does can be quite telegraphed though. I think in general, conditional pops and having negates tied to main deck bodies, I feel like there are decks that do a little bit more, you're right.
Yeah, it's like crafty at a point, but at what point do you just go, I'm just going to play pure Psyframes and just hope they don't realize I'm playing 3 Gamma?
The good thing about Fire King, it just has crazy good follow-up.
It does. I wouldn't say that really mitigates any of its weakness. I think one of our friends was talking to us and it was like, Cosmic Island and you're done. And it's like,
Just get rid of the island and
That
all
can't-
interactions gone.
that can't be a tier 1 deck if it's like, yeah, if you MST us, we fucking die.
You shouldn't sit there in that moment when they say that one thing, the Cosmic ends your turn, and you put your hand up to respond, and you're like, words aren't coming out. What do we say here?
I'm like, oh.
You literally pay 1,000 life points and you win.
Yeah, that's true. It's like rank barley or die, and at that point, why the fuck would you just want to summon a
I
monster?
rolled up to table 2. My father gave me a small limit of 1,000 life points.
1,000 life points, and I looked at my opponent. He had no rank barley, and I won.
I
Everything popped.
personally think Viking's kind of baked. I
Yeah.
feel like it doesn't really do enough for me. I tried playing it online and everything one time at locals. Feels like it doesn't do enough for me.
Okay.
Even with the Diabellstar. Did I say that name right?
Yeah, the Diabellstar engine.
Yeah. It makes it more consistent, but the only thing the deck's really good about is just having good follow-up.
Even when Maze of Malaya comes out and the little snake and Populous and Bonfire comes out, at what point do you just go, I'm just going to play Rescue Ace? Because the Rescue Ace cards are just as cheap as the Fire King cards.
It just feels like it dies to control way more harder.
Look, there's something... I'm going to play a tiny bit of devil's advocate for the sake of conversation here. I think that there's real conversation to be had for decks that can just grind, and in addition, just with that insane follow-up, you've got so much board-breaking potential and popping. But, like, there's nothing this deck does that we haven't seen before. Like, I look at this deck, and I think we've had Sky Striker for this long, and barring... I think it was like a year and a half ago when it, like, won the YCS that one time. Like, what does that deck do now compared to in a format where there's that much openness? You know, what is it really going to do comparatively?
Yeah, I really couldn't see it doing anything. Not only does it not do anything special broken, which is needed, it doesn't even do anything special broken compared to, like, its other Fire-esque or Beast Warrior decks in, like, the past 2 years. I've even playing Tri-Brigade Fire King, it's like, no, we're playing Tri-Brigade and also a big bird.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a weird spot, you're right. Definitely, like, again, I don't know that I would say it's rogue, but I think people are going to play it. It's like when Traptrix came out and everyone played it for 3 months. Like, you see a Traptrix duelist at locals now, you know? Like,
yeah, I feel like it's that kind of format where... Because whenever a good structure deck comes out, it seems like it's only good for that one format.
Yeah. I honestly... It feels like if you didn't have the Diabell Star Engine, even, like, in the format in your mind, the better way to play Fire King Tri-Brigade would be, like, because that would be the... Instead of Diabell, it'll be Tri-Brigade. It would be Tri-Brigade plus a couple of Fire King cards, and we'll max down Ring Barley to stop us from getting, you know, Revolt or Fire King Island destroyed.
See, I see Tri-Brigade Fire King attack because it has more follow-up, better follow-up actually, and more interactions with your opponent.
There's an argument to be made, but I do think that the best role for the Fire King cards in general is having them in the grave to loop them, and even though, you know, Revolt is a card and everything like that, eventually you've got to just sort of say, yeah, the deck does what it does, even if you mix it with things that maybe isn't the best solution. I still think a pure variant with a Diabell Star Engine for consistency is going to get you the best results for that deck, yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm adding cards from the graveyard. Yeah, I'm playing Dragon Link, but instead of dragons, it's Beast Warriors and Wing Beasts. We have Rescue Ace as a pretty obvious one. I mean, Rescue Ace is crazy, and now with Populous and Bonfire, and I think another spell that's coming out. It's the only thing that can keep up with Labyrinth. Or rather, it and Labyrinth are the only thing that can keep up with each other because they just do so much on both players' turn.
I feel like that deck does not have a bad matchup at all.
Putting those two clashing with each other on a table one setting, you've got Labyrinth on one side and obviously on the other side. Like, which of those do you think comes out just more consistently?
I think it's depending on if... Honestly, I really think if the Labyrinth player can attempt to get the resources online first. I think the Rescue Ace player will eventually run out of resources before the Labyrinth player will. And I think the Labyrinth player has more stuff that makes the Rescue Ace player angry. But in saying that, you can only do so much with the bad Labyrinth hand. With the bad Rescue Ace hand, you can still get there. With a bad Labyrinth hand, you are like, fuck, I've got 4 traps and like an Ash in my hand. What am I doing with turn 1? I'm out of the game.
Presenting the funny other side of it though. Funny story from my most recent regionals, and I will admit it takes a lot of like hoop jumping to get here, but when you're grinding with a Rescue Ace player and they finally get their Turbulence out and they activate that effect to set 4, this man looks at me and says, and sets the 2 spells and just like, what do you even do from that point?
You're like, cool.
Oh no, A+2 with legs.
You fucking... It's like going through like any fusion deck and then you're like, oh yes, I got Super Poly, or I got the fusion card that always fuses from your deck, Thunder Dragon, Shadow, whatever. And you look through your deck and you're like, oh, I'm out. I have nothing.
I'm out of ammo, my friend.
Instead of using like resources like a hose, I've slowly sprinkled it over the course of a 12-hour game and I'm fucked because my opponent still has Dragoon on field or whatever. Other than Labyrinth and Rescue Ace, well, the Diabell Star and the Labyrinth card, we have Tier 2, which instead of being as powerful and so fast as Tier 1, I think Tier 2 are cards, are decks that, if they go first, and even if they do go second sometimes, they can put up such a board that you're like, well, it doesn't matter if I have infinite resources, I can't get through the first turn. stuff like this. It's Sprite with a new Ice Barrier card coming out that essentially gives you access to Toad. I know you've been really playing with that deck, Brock.
Yes, I think it's very good, but I still have to like study it during this format. Because with Fire King popping your stuff, you need level 2s to stay on the board. With Fire King, Labyrinth and all that just completely board breaking you have to play the deck pretty different.
Unfortunately, Sprite has kind of been solved as people know its two weaknesses, where it's like, if you don't have a level 2 on the board, you're out, and the lack of recovery is unfortunately pretty bad with Sprite. But it's still a popular deck, even though like Ronin Totem and Sprite Elf have been banned.
Yeah, rest in peace, my boys.
Rest in peace, me.
The deck people are always going to want to play, but yeah, when you get to this position, there are more Sprite variants in the game than any other deck I can really think of, and it's always going to find a niche, but I think that there's a lot of decks that just put their entire potential out on turn 1, and then they just have nothing going for them afterwards, really. So, I don't know, you can sort of take it either way for me.
Yeah, speaking of decks that combo their entire board, we do have Manadium next up, and I think what separates this is the fact that like any good combo deck, they have a trap card that shuffles back all their pieces, Era Zodiac, Era Earth Machine. We've been tinkering with this, and even from, I think maybe since it came out half a year ago, to Trift took it to top 3rd, people have been thinking that this is the combo deck to play, as opposed to Rescue Ace, which is a mid-range deck, and Labyrinth, which is control or stun, now only control thanks to the ban list. This combo deck does put up a lot. Unfortunately, still kind of misses out to cards that come in and out of the meta. Droll has come out, then back in the meta. Nibiru has come in, then back out the meta. You can still play around them, but the thing is with combo decks, and specifically the 2 tier 1 decks, is that yeah, you can put up your entire board, but so can the other player, and if they're playing Lab, then you're going to run into the same problems that you're going to be playing any combo deck, which is I'm going to get fucked in terms of my combo pieces, in terms of bricking, in terms of generic floodgates. What do you guys think?
I think further to that, and I know I'm about to get clowned retroactively as the branded player in the room.
Oh god.
I've never been a big fan of decks that lose to one particular card super hard. And, you know, they have their place, and the output that they have surely has to be worth losing to that one card. But when you see every single deck citing 3 Super Poly in this format, and it basically says no matter what happens, if you end on any combination of Little Knight, Baron, Dispater, or potentially an Appaloosa in the mix there are bridges there where 2 of your best boss monsters are just gone. You know, like, these are cards people are playing. So I think the deck is still insane, but you just kind of really got to find creative ways to get around that with what you've got.
Yeah, Brock?
I think the deck's crazy.
That's fair. You did come top 4 with it, obviously.
Yeah,
it's not
that's
even...
why I'm saying it's crazy. Not just because I came top 4, I just feel like it has a lot of reliability. I feel like it can do stuff with Graveyard, Enfield all together.
I will say the problem with combo, actually, in my opinion, you know, that separates it from being the opposite of control and stun, is the fact that when you're going through several rounds, especially the Brisbane Region that you guys did, it was 7 rounds?
7 rounds, yeah.
At round 7, how did your brain feel?
I don't really know exactly.
that's how bad it was. He can't remember round 7.
Up there very often, to be honest.
I was just kind of like, well, I know how to like interact with these decks. And then I first Orcus, I was like, I never faced this deck before, but let's just go with it.
Honestly, that is an interesting shout that I don't think we had planned to talk about right now, but we'll put a pin in that to talk about later. Just the sheer amount of Orcus variants we saw running around.
Yeah.
That deck's got some serious teeth to it. It does things.
God.
I don't know.
That guy was scary though. He knew what he was doing.
Paint us the picture. Tell us exactly.
Yeah, was he? Sorry, the guy was scary. Please elaborate on that. As Australia, we have a lot of different kinds of people. You wanna talk about it, maybe, bro?
Actual Orcus harp horror showed up.
Stared him down and plucked his strings, and you went, "Oh fuck." Dingisu came back from the dead, and he had this lance, and you were like, "I'm not ready for
Picked
this."
the wrong house, fool.
Welcome back to 2018, motherfucker. Tier 1, all the way, baby.
No, go on, tell us the story. Walk us play.
He has like the field spell. Apparently, that makes all the monsters quick effects. Correct?
I believe it's Babylon, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I felt like no matter what I did, he just always had insanely good follow up. I feel like if I don't kill him that turn, he's killing me afterwards.
That's basically what the deck's trying to do. Again, going back to my point earlier about Infinite Grind, Orcust is such a funny deck for that because it just keeps going.
Yeah.
You started, actually both of you started Yu-Gi-Oh! Before or during COVID, correct?
So...
Well, he's come back to
getting
it.
seriously into the scene just about, like, first few months of COVID, yeah.
I came at the ending of TOS format, and early 2019, when Lightning Storm had just been released, was the end of it. Orcust is one of those the four decks. It's the O and TOS. Before that, it was just Orcust and Sky Striker, and playing against that was like... It was like playing against like Labyrinth, but instead of trap cards, you were just facing down just this omni barrage of dumb annoying machine monsters and crescendo all the time, which is just Solemn Strike for the archetype, except you can reset it.
It is an interesting time playing the deck as well. Our friend Jesse, who's like, if he's listening, he will know. Like,
hey Malik.
Anything World Legacy related, he is there with like a lighter lifted up into the heavens. He was mentioning that, Orcust has never lived in a period where it had Harp Horror at 1+ Gear Suit going on. Like,
yeah.
That ban list in the OCG was announced like the same day that they also like released Gear Suit. So it's a really interesting time seeing the combos that competent players are cooking up that just creates that infinite resource loop of just dark machine monsters. It's ridiculous. And
now with the lack of Magnamuts, it's definitely a time to do it. Interestingly enough, in Master Duel, when it first got released and everyone was like, oh, this is crazy, or this entirely different format, all these broken cards for a more casual audience and fan base, Orcust was a very good deck starting early on, but interestingly enough, it probably was because the level 4 normal summon was limited and Harp Horror was at 2. It didn't even put up that much, because even back in the day of 2018 in TCG, the point was that it was good against Sky Striker, I believe.
Makes sense. Again, it's a little bit before my time, but just like looking, I think it's really great when you see these, you can call them older decks, they're still part of the modern era of Yu-Gi-Oh! But like seeing them sort of come back in and still punch, I wouldn't even say above their weight, they all have output that really works for them,
It's not like Yu-Gi-Oh! Having an infinite, like there's no set rotation. That's a pretty contentious point that we can get into in a different episode, but I think that is a cool thing to see, is never having set rotation. Back to the tier list. From last format, of course, we have, instead of it being Rescue Ace and Labyrinth, we had Pearly and Rescue Ace. Pearly obviously got hit by the ban list slightly, its consistency is dropping more. People are finally getting rid of it through not only regular ass kaijus, but it goes either going first or going second. People playing Herald of the Abyss, and then they've countered with, I believe, what is that silly little archetype that they play? Ghost Trick?
Oh yeah, the Ghost Trick.
Ghost Trick Dual Hunt. I think people are A, over it, and B, kind of just sick of sitting on a tower. I knew it would happen, but like getting sick, like getting sit on by a tower is like, am I playing Yu-Gi-Oh! At this point?
This one downside about the Ghost Trick engine with Pearly, I feel like it just dies the Nibiru mode. Because you're just summoning way too much. With Pearly, it's a deck that's for like not dying to a single impact because of the field spell, not dying to a single ash. Like you keep moving on forward.
These days it's got very little pros actually.
Look, you could say that, and I do tend to agree that it has some stuff on, but like, admittedly from our last conversation, I'm a little bit more in favor of the deck. At the regionals we went to, it won the regionals. You do see some very good players still playing it. It is a good deck. I don't know if it can reasonably be argued as being top 2, top 3, but I don't think it's far off. I think the actual stuff it puts out, you need to have the specific outs for it. And I think we're going to see, as you've mentioned, if more people are moving away from it, they're also moving away from playing the outs for it, which sort of leads to this situation where it's like midway through round 6 or 7 and you're sitting you're sitting against a 7 material noir and you have no idea what you're gonna do.
You sit against this fucking fluffy can, you're like, fuck, I have the Cosmic Cyclone, what am I doing here?
Exactly.
I know this is like for every other deck, but I feel like if you don't respect Pearly, you lose to it.
Yeah.
If you do respect it,
That's
you
a towel.
just easily win to it.
That's the pro of Pearly.
You either respect it, you win against it. Don't respect it, you get demolished.
Absolutely.
Smart players will definitely have a field trip playing Pearly in the YCS when it drops below at least the expected decks of Rescue Ace and Labyrinth.
The part of it you can't really ignore is just I think probably universally agree the 2 best quick play spells would be Sleepy and Delicious. You now do not have the guaranteed search for either of them, which you'd be surprised it does actually come up.
And they somehow always fucking open it against me.
Okay, when you hit that point, you
Hey, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
You've got to prepare a bit better.
At the regional, he saw it twice. I was like,
Well, what happened to praying, bro? Just pray for it. I don't know. Just open it, I guess.
my opponent goes Delicious, and like 2 Sleepy and the 1 Delicious. I go middle. He's like, okay, Delicious. Okay.
That's just the Pearly
Just awesome.
experience.
Awesome,
Why
bro.
aren't we prepared? That is what happens when you play cat deck. You get good cards.
And I think that's an additional very secret pro of Pearly is that if you're a smart player, you'll have a good time with it and you'll do well, obviously. But if you're versing not bad players but bad deck builders, a lot of good people are. A lot of good players are bad deck builders because they just net deck these days. Sometimes you're gonna be like, oh fuck, I just don't have anything to deal with this.
There's that, and there's also the secret cult of Pearly players that converge in dark places and say, okay, this is how we get quick play spells to our hand.
They converge into a dark cave and start petting cats, and they go, yes, I've learned the secrets. Speaking of secrets, tier 3, not rogue, just decks that will top just maybe in quantities of 1 or 2.
That can top.
That can top, yeah. It wouldn't be unexpected to top. It might be unexpected to win a YCS or a regional or anything higher. We have runic variants, like Stun Runic, obviously, but that's kind of in the shit of these days. Runic Sprite from, I think, 2 formats ago. Runic Sprite for higher also. And then Runic Live Twin Sprite is also an additional one that I'm really surprised never just won the format.
I maintain that, obviously, Sprite player in the room will defer to him in a moment. The for hire version, I think, is still always going to be the best version of the ones currently on the table when it comes to Runic. It so inherently works with itself. It just, the synergy is right there. What do you reckon?
Fucking furries.
I haven't tried for hire yet, so I can't really say too much about it, but I do know it is very consistent.
It is quite powerful.
I have first against it, just never attempted to play it, but I know it's like crazy consistent.
I will say there is a major con with it, and that it is not based. And if you're not playing a base deck, you're just not having fun. What is based is Bestial Runic.
Okay.
that deck is nuts.
That
I'm
deck
not gonna lie.
is very funny, and it does a lot of funny stuff, and it plays Quim, which means it's a great deck. We all know this.
I looked at that deck list from, I think it was Jesse Cotton, or I think it wasn't Pack, definitely not.
Joshua Smith.
Might have been Joshua. Yeah, Joshua Schmidt.
That was
I looked at it and went, no. Oh.
What I think is just so good is you can play the Synchro 6 that can draw one. What's his name?
Dragon.
Beatrice.
That, thank you.
Beatrice.
And
Fucking
having
teaching.
just good
Try Edge
follow-up,
Master as well.
just having good follow-up with regain, drawing one off the bench because of the Bestials,
Regains.
Magnema
Yeah.
in the graveyard, then there's the Runics, banishing the engine.
When are people going to realize between Dragon Link and the early branded variants and now Bestial Ring? Branded Regained is an insane card, especially when you can just say,
If only Brandon was a good deck.
here's a Dispater that we can just throw out here because you placed a singular orange card on the map. Thank you.
Surprisingly, not once per turn to revoke.
It's true, you just play multiple copies and just keep looping.
I know.
It's so funny. And hey, look, there's a free Druid. That's 2 outs when you have Beast.
It just feels like if you pull Cosmic, you either Cosmic, the Regain, or the Fountain.
Yeah, you have to choose and you're like, fuck.
Because like, if you don't pick the Fountain, you're gonna get destroyed by Runic. But if you don't pick the Regain, you're also gonna get fucked by Bestials because they're really high bodies.
It's a great engine to call out. Surprisingly work really well together and access well synchros.
Yes, and there's 2 schools of thought. When
I saw it in the top in the YCS, and I was just kind of like, This is interesting.
It does a lot of things, it's true. And like that's what I was saying, you've got the two schools of thought, where you've got the Sword Soul engine with like golden Sword Soul and incredible Ecclesia, or you just play Duality, and either way you've just got guaranteed extension and just a ridiculous amount of interconnectedness between the cards as well. It's just unbelievable.
I will say, attempting to put it up with Rescue Ace though, it's weirdly enough it's slower and it's more not situational, but you can only do so much with Bishil's Roddy in your hand with the fires. You can only do so much with the runic cards, taking away the battle phase, but also like, you know, now that Unchained isn't in the format, it's fine, but popping cards instead of banishing them and returning them don't do too much as they used to do.
Maybe, but I would argue that deck just doesn't die. Like, it just hangs in there, and you can say what you want about the Rescue Ace matchup. It also doesn't really hard lose to Rescue Ace either, so they sort of just have to use all of their resources to try and deal with you too, and you just keep putting cards back and drawing. And I think, for my money, between a Rescue Ace player who can run out of back row, you know, despite their recursion, or a Runic player putting 3 of their cards back in there each time drawing, I'm always going to side with the Runic variant in terms of the grind game, just for me, just for the way people play it.
Brock?
I agree with Matthew here.
That's fair. Speaking of Matthew, sorry, Burnsy. His name is Matthew, but we didn't want to dox him because he's a public figure. He's running for U.S. state of Florida.
It's true. One day I will get my second vote. Anyway, please continue.
Branded is I've put here as the last tier 3 deck that is just above Rogue.
I want to be objective. I also struggle very hard to be objective with this deck. I think my heart tells me it is the best deck and it is due to win on YCS. Unobjectively, I think tier 3 is quite generous for the deck right now. I'm going to be completely honest.
I think that's just because you see a bald-headed Sicilian friend play it. And
okay, that is a very niche reference that we'll get more understanding with as we go through.
Yeah, Brandon can like play the best board break super quality.
It can, and I would argue it gets more use out of it because a singular Albaz can out pretty much anything. The deck progresses through most things, and it can. I think the main draw for Branded, which I think very few decks in this top list that you've said, maybe only like the Runic variants and also potentially like the Fire King variants we've seen as well. It can change its game plan really quickly. It can go from a control line into a combo line into an OTK line. It can do so much. Someone's gonna have to stop me.
We had two. Me and Burnsy had 2 Branded mains. There will be 2 full episodes on Branded lore, combos, just us drooling about the twinks in the archetype.
I'm here for it, absolutely.
That's going to be a specialty episode.
Here's the thing that I was saying before as well, though, because you've got a deck that loses to a singular card that happens to be very prevalently played. The Ash Dilemma, we all know about this.
Yeah.
I am firmly of the belief that if you're a good Branded player, I'm not going to say you don't lose to Ash because you still lose to Ash, but like the board you put up, it places a higher emphasis on Quem looping the Albaz, making a Mirror Jade. There are arguments that you can make either way. Weirdly enough, I've seen Chimera sort of fall off a little bit recently, which I am shocked by because the deck does so much as well, and it can also play all of these great cards, admittedly with a lower ceiling, and it loses to Ash a little bit more.
Yeah, that is unfortunate. It just... Fuck, man, it doesn't have a win under its belt. It's every day I wake up and it drives me crazy. I legitimately want to go to the one YCS we have in Australia, YCS Sydney, and play Branded again and just hope to God that I win.
All of the goblins living under the stairs saying, like Branded just needs combo lines, and now it finally has them, and the world has moved on. The future is now all.
It's like that one game that like got nominated for like 16 like Game of the Year-esque awards and won none of them, and it's just like, fuck, what do
we have to do?
It's like Red Dead Redemption 2, and it gets nominated for every category, and then it just like loses out to one game per thing, so it's like 16 different winners, and it's always the runner-up, and you're just like, come on, give me something, man.
I want to go back in time to me, like, happily opening my 3 Albaz Strike structure decks, and like, I'll ask myself, like, oh,
Stop.
Did any of the cards get banned? Did any of the cards get hit? And I'll look at it and be like, no, they didn't get hit. And then I'll come to modern day and I'll be like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Did they get hit? No. Oh.
What do you think of the Chimera version?
I
know that's like a whole new other deck.
Yeah.
They're so different.
Well, I mean, I mean, it's definitely the best way to put it, and I mean, let me miss some beasts and some beast warriors and some illusionists. But it's, I mean, the graveyard negator is good. The entire interactions it has with its own archetypes. I just feel like it trades the fact that it's so, the regular version, the Despian version, the Bestial Despian version is so wide. It trades it for offensive power and trickiness in terms of like the negate from the graveyard. But it also trades it to it dying from Ash.
Yeah, for sure.
And it dying from, I mean, Super Poly is the best ball breaker in the format right now. You're absolutely got fucked.
The existence of Mirror Jade, the existence of Sanctifier, and just everything that the Pure version does. The ceiling is huge with Pure when you play Chimera. Generally speaking, your end boards aren't crazy. The ceiling is quite a bit lower, and you don't have a whole lot of play beyond turn 2 unless you play a lot more of the recursion cards, which a lot of the builds generally don't. Because eventually you run out of bufferments, right? Like eventually you just don't have them in the deck and you can't make things. But it just trades it for a ridiculous amount of utility, which, you know, there are pros and cons for them. It really comes down to what you're trying to hit in the meta.
We can't talk more about Brandon because we're just gonna keep going.
It's true. Yeah, please keep
Go
going.
to the next one.
We have Rogue after this. Just a couple of quick words of these. I think the two most prominent decks that are Rogue that could come up. I refuse to talk about Striker because Striker can eat my ass.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah, Striker can eat my ass. Actually, I can't say that. I'm 22. Unchained and Flu. Unchained obviously has a consistency hit. Not a lot of people were playing it even before that because it was starting to fall off a bit. You guys do not like that deck at all.
It is really heavy harness.
I hate it.
I want to love the deck, but it just keeps disappointing me. You know, it's like the middle child where he comes home and it's like, you know, it did all these good things, but it just can't pass that one class, you know?
You're just like, you fucking need a posh English though. You keep getting D
And
minuses,
then he will
dog.
tell you and start speaking perfect German.
Yeah, and you're like,
Sorry.
fuck. I think I put Flu in here just because Flu might be the bane of my existence.
Blue is just still a very good deck. It just keeps doing things.
I think it's okay, this format.
Yeah,
Personally.
I think it's always been okay. I think it has one game plan. If you're smart, you might be able to get around a draw and or a Lancia maybe. But fuck, it's just kind of annoying.
Like, it's kind of like the anti-Manadium when you think about it. When you think about, like, what we were saying before about the mental strain to play some of these top decks, I would love to be the guy just sitting on, like, table 3 being like, I have normal summoned Rabina 8 times today and I am at table 2. You know what I mean? Like, you're fine. You're just totally fine.
It's like a stun deck that gives off the perception that it's a mid-range deck, and that infuriates me. I can't wait to the now that I don't think you guys know, Striker got a manga. Like, it's...
I am aware of this, yes.
Yeah. That's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And I've been cheated on my birthday. It's another story.
This is it. Okay. Alright. We're picking up the deep-seated
I would rather that happen to me again than Striker have gotten ever a manga. Because, God forbid, like, Camp was... Okay, that's funny because it's actually like an anti-Sky Striker card, right? But I swear to God, if I see another linkage or another Eve, I'm going to blow my brains out because I cannot handle Sky Strike again.
You're digging up some serious...
Yeah, this just went dark.
I don't care. I went through the Toss War.
Are you okay?
You went... Okay, that's not an excuse for your hand to shake with you issue a morning coffee. So I've seen some stuff, son.
I can't wait to go up to a veteran at the mall and be like, I'm basically served.
It's the branded boys, guys.
Oh, good old Colossus. And then he's like, I'm gonna shoot myself when I get home.
Yep. Okay.
I have post-traumatic stress disorder. You have post-toss Sky Striker disorder.
We've really put in the tier and tier list. Okay, let's keep going.
I'd like to have another deck for like tier 3. I don't know if you have this one down.
Oh yeah.
Dragon Link.
Sure, that's true.
I mean, it's another pile deck. I mean, we could add plans to that, but I think they're out of the meta now so much that I would consider them rogue now. They're strong.
I feel like it's a deck that can top a YCS, but not win a YCS.
Well, talk us through it. So, like, you're presenting Dragon Link compared to what the decks in the meta currently do.
Oh, yeah.
What do you see it doing? You know?
I don't really like seeing it do a whole lot. I feel like it's just a huge control deck now.
Okay.
big ass beast seals, but at the same time, there are fire decks like kind of everywhere there and then.
It is really funny going up against set 4 and saying, "Yep, cool, Borderlands." You know, like just setting up and saying,
Nice.
No, you would like to respond. I say no, thank you.
I mean, the thing with both Plant Pile and Dragon Pile, I think they're format specific.
Yeah.
And not only that, they don't have they don't have anything to really break them through the meta anymore. Magnemite's at 1, the Chaos Babe's still at 1, Chaos Space is at 1.
I think those cards kind of need to be at 1.
Yeah.
Regardless, I think the fact that
Chaos
they got
Space.
those cards at 3 for as long as they did.
Chaos Space, people were like, why is that card like down to 1 now? Brother,
Card
it's a
is
search and a draw
ridiculous.
1. Why do you think?
Do you like Pot of Greed? I do.
Exactly.
See, conversely though, where we've discussed everything that's good about dragons, the dragon is still ridiculous. It is one of those elusive decks that can play Regain Despedo.
Yeah.
In the same conversation, I know some of the most devoted plant players in the world. I don't know anyone with self-respect who's still trying to make plants work after the last ban list. I've got to be completely honest, I just don't see it happening.
Shout out to Jessica Robinson for being the first, I believe, women to win a YCS.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't find a woman that has won a YCS. And shout out,
You're right, yeah.
and shout out to the fucking idiots on Reddit that had to keep trying to correct me, saying no, she's trans. Who cares?
Like plants do things. You're listening to this video, so how about we proceed? Just
Yeah,
talk about-
shout out to the first group. Fuck the stinky nerds. I want to talk about the product releases. Rarity Collection 2's, I think, is on everyone's mind because it kind of came out, I think, a day ago
Yeah,
like 2 days.
from
yeah.
recording.
Imagine the boys piling into a hot car to drive to Brisbane for an hour. We're, just having eaten at the coffee club. We're ready to go play some Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, oh, cool. Like, what is it gonna be? Like, high rarity alt art droll that nobody wants.
I just hope that, like, a ban list doesn't come out as we're doing the YCS Sydney, like what happened in YCS Bologna, I think.
I can't imagine that.
Because, like, we'll get through round 3, we're like 3-0, like, I'm so fucking psyched, we're so pumped. And then it's like, a ban list drops and everyone's like, oh, okay. And now the entire hype is gone.
If that really happens, I would have no clue what would be coming up this format.
I guess it depends
It's
on
just,
what they do.
but the week before the YCS, we're like, okay, this is the format. I'm prepared for this. Ban list. It hits the day before the YCS.
It'll be that is what I would love, because I'm like, now I'm in the mode. Good luck, you idiots.
Because then you don't know what anyone would be playing, so you don't know what the meta is like.
We say
You don't know
this-
what to be prepared for.
Deck builders would love that.
We say this as if Konami is not the kind of company to say ban list effective 30 minutes.
30 minutes.
Right before
Beep,
I know
beep,
it, yeah.
beep. It's like a bomb that has gone off in the middle of Sydney Olympic Park.
The SS will be patrolling, checking your deck list.
We have trains that go right back to the Gold Coast.
Oh my god.
Nowhere else.
Just imagine that happening, and you already like submitted your deck list,
Nah.
and that happens.
That's an agenda when that happens.
Yeah,
They
they're
want you to get back on the
yeah, they're like, no, we're fucking directly with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to say, like, what did you want to be in the Rarity Collection 2? I don't have any wants, because all I was going to say was Rescue Cat, and it was the first card they got in there.
We all know about your bias for that card.
I love that
it's
card.
a very important card.
It's just cute.
Honestly, there's some really cool cards that I think needed a reprint that are chilling in there. Like the Visas field spells are a huge one. I do not want to have to like beg strangers for rate softs. That's really good. Yeah, I think access code's in it too. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Drone Lockbird. Oh,
These are all cards that
What
really need
about
reprints.
Ghost Ogre? I know he's not really good right now, but like.
I think that enough foil reprints exist, for
Really?
that card. I've got 3 ultras chilling, and
Yeah.
I'm happy with it. There are secrets from the tins.
I think Ash is the exception in
Oh, right,
those, in the
yeah.
girls.
Genuinely,
Yeah.
they'll be cool. I know people who will play it. I also don't see anyone playing it, and this is a format where field spell starters exist. You know what I mean?
Shout out to finally reprinting Silent Magician. It has been more than a decade since this one specific 1999 anime movie card came out into the TCG, was really good in Duel Links, and then fucked off and never got a reprint. It was in Legendary Duelist Yugi Legendary Yugi, Legendary Duelist Pharaoh Yugi as a Ultra and like the hardest one to get, and then it never got a reprint, and I'm like, I can't get it because it's sold out everywhere.
It's one of those funny cards as well that you don't really play for the meta. You're just like, yeah, look, this would be funny to cook with, and then you look at it and you're like, oh no, it's nowhere. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yes, I did just look up that image, which I'm sure we have all seen. You know, the Ready for Duel Twitter posts. Yes, Phantasma is an interesting one. I'm very happy because I just moved mine for a premium.
Wow.
So I'm feeling kind of good. I hope that for the next few months until this comes out, I do not get Duel Knighted. I think that's a reasonable request. Thank you.
I think Magician Souls is a good add-on to that.
Absolutely.
IP is always good. Access Code Talker finally getting a third reprint. Or the Planets obviously is pretty good, and then I think unfortunately that's about it. But honestly, that's a pretty good teaser already. I couldn't imagine anything more than like Thrust, like Triple Tack again.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Mirror Force.
Most of the hype for the upcoming sets is going to be lying in Phantom Knight now. I think it's a very good looking set. I think it does a lot for the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for the Rarity Collection to succeed, all it needs to do is just come at a time when interest in the game is high, people want to spend money on product, and then you just go and pick your 3 or 4 cards that you really want in the max rarity and just go get them.
Yeah.
Get them in the packs.
Is there any cards that you think would be really weird that because there was one card like Ice Barrier was in the actual Rarity Collection 1. That's why bother like
QCR speaking of.
just you see us.
Tell me I wouldn't make a page of this.
I can't wait to get a box and have 2 QCR no materials and nothing else.
Yeah, look, sure. I just want, like, because, you know, Ice Barrier is an archetype specific card. It's from the lore that's, like, really, like, sprawling and everything. So, I think this means I don't get hit when I say that I want, like, QCR branded loss. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm gonna hit you.
reasonable, but with the amount that I clown on this card, when people think I'm saying lost, I mean, no. The common that is terrible. That card looks awesome. It's got ad libitum dancing on Ecclesia. Give me a QCR. Just give it to me.
I can't believe it hasn't come as a super. That's like
The card is bad.
well, yeah, I guess.
I
Maybe
could spell it out for you why it hasn't gotten the super, my friend.
I think you might need to play blinded. I really hope I get my Alistair reprints. I really need
In the
this.
same breath as you cussing me for being a branded player. Man, I hope I get my 6th Alistair
Yeah,
reprint.
but my twink has blue hair and magical pronouns, so mine's better.
He also can't control his own power and became a demon.
Ah, what are you gonna do?
He's also probably it belongs to like 3 different laws, so I don't even know which one to follow.
Listen, every man has its flaws. I can fix them. All right?
Oh, is he even a man?
I can
saw horns on that man.
I can fix it. Like I said, blue hair and magical pronouns.
It's 2024. That's all I'm saying.
I did want to talk about the ban list. Why Sydney is at such a weird time? Because it's right. I think it's the first week. The spreadsheet begins to predict that it might come out. Thinking about this, what do you think will be on the ban list? Because at this point, you'd think it would be a slaughter list, right?
What, the next ban list?
Yeah.
I don't know about that. It's very early doors for a slaughter list, especially after the last one, in my humble opinion. I don't see it happening.
From how people are overhyping Labyrinth so much, I feel like this is the list that they might get hit.
Yeah.
This is that net.
Because
I fully
the deck has been like good for like a solid year now, and it still hasn't gotten hit yet.
It's hitting that point where it's like, okay, Labyrinth, this is your last dance. You're at full power. You're at the top of the format. Use it. And it's kind of got to do something with this now. I don't see it. Even if just to push new product, you know, like we've got Arius, we've got all of the new traps. Rollback is going to be out there now. It has no excuse now to just not go out and use it, and then get a glorious welcome with it. You know, I don't know.
Speaking of rollback, what is the card called actually? It's not Time Thief rollback. I thought it was
Transaction rollback.
Transaction rollback.
Transaction rollback.
Thank you to the judges who put together a list of what you can copy with it. You can't copy EEV.
Yes, and I think it's really funny watching people try to cook with it and just see
Just
they
see what
don't
works.
have grade 2 reading level. You know?
I will be honest, I did. I was just like, this card's broken, and then I read it like actually, like
Yeah.
not as like a spark, and I was like, oh okay, this is fine.
It's just
I will say I was like massively predicting in the previous list for Beatrice to get banned, just for the existence of the level 6 spam anyway, and being able to say on your turn you dump a trap, on your opponent's turn, in the draw phase, dump rollback. I think people will still cotton on to that and realise it's a good idea, but I don't know, it just hasn't done much yet. Give it time, but Beatrice is an absurd card as well. I think it could absolutely be considered to go, even if just to kick Tierlist players in the shins even further. I don't know.
Brock?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just completely agree with Betsy.
Yeah,
He's just wording it better than I would have.
Great. Thank you for being on the podcast.
He says this like 6 huge men just came and carried
Well, I
him.
just
Get him out. Hey, Tyrone? Yeah, put him next to the wood
No,
chipper.
'cause I know if I explained it, I would make 0 sense. But when you word things,
Sorry, you can pass me little notes under the table.
He's an English major.
Just
Okay.
Matthew, read this.
Read it, please.
I think Sprite is the best deck, and I will not hear otherwise.
Yes, please.
I think Bonfire should be $130.
Make it more. Overcharge. I think it's cheap for its price. Buy more product, guys.
Yeah, transaction rollback in Bonfire just went from 130 to 90 to 80 and 60 respectively.
People will buy it. People want that juicy top 16 finish.
People want that really hot and spicy card artwork of a small little fire pit on a torch.
I've just very much enjoyed the artwork of the nurse from Yu-Gi-Oh! GX activating that card. He's like, that's the only time that card existed in the anime, and everyone's freaking out about it.
Oh my god!
Yo.
When are they gonna add the drunk kangaroo from GX?
She doesn't know how expensive that card is. There's no sleeve on it.
That will get me is when I'll be like, oh yeah, there are sleeves in this fucking card game.
It's actually interesting. I completely slipped under my radar. You mentioning the koala cards. At some point in the future, it's cooking, but we're going to be building branded Master of Oz.
That's
It's not an original idea, I will say. If certain individuals are listening to this, we hear you, boys.
When we have more episodes, we'll invite guests on. When our friend Kieran comes on, that podcast is going to be called Stories and Stumps, and the stumps is going to refer to them trying to build the stupidest branded lists.
Look, there's a lot of weird little synergies, you know? Like, if you summon Baphomet, it searches the kangaroo. It searches Death's kangaroo.
Sure.
It's a 3.5 card combo to get into Master of Oz.
Yeah. Sure, man.
Apart from Labyrinth, what other cards do you see like getting hit or decks being hit?
I always had a backup answer for this, and that was going to be the Link 2 warrior. What's her name? Everyone knows the Link 2 warrior that adds a warrior and also sends equip cards.
SP Small Warrior.
SP Stinky Bitch.
Oh, the Infernoble one?
Little Knights. He's talking about Little Knights, I believe.
No, I'm talking about the Link 2 that just got banned.
Oh.
Yeah, the Infernoble.
It's not an Infinite.
Oh, it's sold.
It's sold.
There you go.
Sorry, for the life of me, I thought you were talking about Little Knight. Like, decided to clown
I'm
you.
sorry, SP Little Knight adds a warrior?
It is a warrior.
Yeah, it is a warrior.
I mean, that is
It is a Link 2
I
warrior
keep
that
forgetting
everyone
that,
knows.
actually.
I should have
I'm not
specified.
wrong.
I'm so used to being like Isolde because eventually Warrior will be broken and then they preemptively hit it.
As a man who dropped maybe too much money on that deck right before it got banned, that Assault I don't think is coming back. I bet you honest.
Yeah,
I don't think that card's
I think people knew 1-2 was gonna be banned. It's banned. But now I don't have a good answer. I'm always surprised that Branded is never banned.
I don't know. I think in the current landscape, the power level of the game is lower than it's been in a while. When you look at what full power tier and full power cash were putting out in their prime, when you look at the sheer ceiling of what decks were doing, I struggle to find a deck that puts that out nowadays. I think the level of the game has come down quite a bit. Like, they do crazy things, but there are ways around them. You know what I mean? I feel like it's actually an opportunity to maybe dial back the restrictions on some decks, just see what they actually do.
I think you can only if the ceiling is full power Telements and Kashira, you can't get any higher than your full board being locked out and having a full board. At that point, you might as well.
That's just bad Yu-Gi-Oh.
At that point, that's the limit of our card game. So we might as well just start hitting a bunch of stuff and be like, well, like how many years do you think Yu-Gi-Oh! Advanced has? 4, maybe? How much until like?
I thought this in 2017.
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
reason I left the game for a while. Is I thought it was on its way out, but here we are, even bigger. You gotta respect the hustle, I suppose.
I can't wait till like even the most simpler cards. Like you know how Ash has like technically 4 effects. It's like discard this card 1, 2, 3. You can only use Ash once per turn. I can't wait till the new standard is double that text. It's like, oh, these are 2 Ashes in 1 card, and also a continuous condition that you must meet every end phase.
I feel like the next ban list is gonna be like a list where they finally hit like the staple stuff like prosperity and such.
I
Ooh,
can see that happening actually. That's fair.
I was just
prosperity.
thinking about that and I was like, people were talking about prosperity possibly getting banned or getting hit down to 1 and that kind of stuff. So I feel like this is the next ban list might be that where they start hitting staples like Fenrir.
It's a staple at this point. Super Poly, I wish would go back to the ban list.
I'm begging just at least that card to go down to 1.
Yeah,
At
I don't
least.
think anyone would disagree with you, personally. Like,
Uh,
no way.
If
that
it's not getting banned, at least put it at 1 for the love of God.
Super Poly, D-Barrier, Eevee, even
of these
Pot of
cards-
Prosperity.
They've been problems for a while. They're things that disincentivize playing the out because it's so hard to interact with.
They're either toxic or very, very generic staples, and at this point, you might as well just play the decks aren't the problem, obviously. Yeah, you can play against Rescue Ace, but even when I was playing a really bad version of Alistair Beatdown, I was still winning at some points because of Super Poly, because of D-Barrier.
Trying to think about how Konami would try their best to ruin it, though. I could see a universe where they don't touch Super Poly, but they ban Garura. Like, I feel like that's their indirect way. That's their indirect way of dealing with things. I don't know. Can you imagine? Like,
God.
I
Like-
distinctly remember a period, like, 18 months ago when, like, no one was on Super Poly because you could out things in other ways and they weren't good targets.
Yeah.
Bring out Garura, like, yeah, suddenly you can deal with generic types.
I remember back in maybe late 2017 when the first ban list I ever saw came out, and people like Super Poly and Shadowell Construct. Okay. And I was like, what? what do you mean, okay?
Insert the clip of Willem Dafoe looking terrified at the sky.
Oh!
No.
I think the only product that we know for certain, other than Phantom, Nightmare, which we'll get to eventually, and then Legendary Duelist Season 1, is something we now know the complete of. The 2-player starter deck is actually kind of a fascinating product in Yu-Gi-Oh history. Do you think it's actually gonna be like successful in A, commercially, and B, actually getting plays into the card game?
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
It's like, I think if you get a pool of cards like that, it encourages so much. Like, you're the man to talk to when it comes to things like drafts, for example. You know, you get a select pool of cards you can play with. You get a good combination of chaff cards and actual meta-relevant cards. You know, it sort of reminds me of the energy of like the really old structure decks from like mid 2000s to early 2010s, where even when the structure deck itself wasn't good, the same core of really good cards were printed in all of them.
Yeah.
When you think of like the Heavy Storms and the Premature Burials and Call of the Haunted
It
and
always,
stuff like that.
when I was collecting all the structure decks for a structure deck tournament, I remember from 2010 to 2015, every deck just had Sangan, Card Trooper,
Yeah.
the same one trap, MST.
I think if you're trying to get into the game, you know, you can think worse of saying, hey, I've got a Zeus that can go into any deck, you know, like...
Yeah.
It's got good
I will
cards in
say, thinking of it from a draft aspect, there are some really good choices in here. Zeus is a great choice to have. I think it works in every scenario. It's such a slap-on card that teaches players, hey, there will always be an out. There will always be extra summoning mechanics.
Looking at the list though, it does feel like after the first round of drafts, all the good cards are gone.
it definitely feels like, oh, there's one Heavy Storm in here, and now my choice is a Beaver Warrior or Fissure.
Bro, I missed out on Zeus, but I got 7 colored Zeus.
I got Spirit of the Harp. I thought Eldritch was great. You know, it makes sense. A monster coming back from the graveyard. It's got cool synergy. Why the fuck did they put Sparkman in here? Like, some of these cards make no sense. And
Hey.
Pachi's cool.
Heroes is still a good deck, man. You gotta respect it.
Why? Why?
Absolutely.
Cool. Oh, John McGreen got a reprint. That's fine. But who wanted, like, Ryu Rian? That card does nothing. Sure, Swords of Revealing Light. It works with Eldritch. It's a fun, card that everyone knows. But then you get to stuff like Apprentice Piper, Storming Mirror Force as the card you want to put in, not even Drowning. Teaching your opponents about, reservation and proactively using cards like, I know it's not in the set, but Nightmare Phoenix or your MSTs. So it really feels like they thought about this for 10 minutes, and the only thing that could come up was, yeah, we need to sell Zeus. We can put in Eldritch because we actually want players to use that. And okay, 10 minutes are up, and it feels like they barely tried.
I don't know. I think you release Eldritch in a list. It's encouraging new players to say, "Hey, 37 card trap deck, go and win locals."
Oh god, yeah, I can't wait to
It's
get.
thought, absolutely.
I can't wait to get Kunai with Chain.
That always feels good. That card increases you by 500 and changes your battle position? That's
You can only activate it when your opponent declares an attack, though. You always gotta remember that.
Okay.
You're better playing Mirror Force then.
No.
Storming Mirror Force or regular Mirror Force? Because you're only getting one of them, motherfucker. You're only getting Storming in this one.
Any deck that's not runic is declaring attacks. It's entirely irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't know. This...
I feel like it's the set you buy and you have fun with it with the boys, and then as you learn and buy core sets, you just don't touch it again.
Yeah.
It's totally fair. It gets people into the game. It does its job, but you've got options.
I guess I'm disappointed because I always wanted them to officially release a Goat Cube or an Edison draft pack or some kind of stuff like that, like Power of the Giants back in the day, or Battle of the Giants, or whatever it was, as a side event for the YCS that we don't have anymore. But I mean, it's a good start, honestly.
Like when you go to a game shop and you see behind the glass case the sets that they just can't sell.
Yeah.
And that's what this is gonna be in 6 months.
Shout out Ancient Guardians.
I'm thinking about Ancient Guardians is a good one. What was the Merlin set?
Oh.
the original Noble Knight set. I had an EB Games 10 minutes away from my house, and it became a ritual of mine to walk past that shop and see it in the window.
There it
looking
is.
Sadly at me, begging me to buy it, and it never moved. I'm sure it's still there. It would still be right there.
Back
Still waiting for my owner.
Still
Buy
waiting.
Byrnes, I have platinum red.
Yeah, I have platinum ones. Back before COVID and before Nim Nim released sealed only, there was lots of Yu-Gi-Oh stock, and I would go around and buy the packs that Alistair came in, which was Fusion Enforcers and Shadows of Valhalla. Side sets that don't really matter. But importantly, there were cards from, I think, even 5Ds that I got my hands on. Now, these have been sitting here for more than a decade. There were tons of Speed Duel packs. There were tons of Structure decks, the original Fire King Structure deck before it got, this year reprinted. Unfortunately, now it's all gone. It kind of sucks, but
I remember those days.
now I just feel like Konami has even more of an incentive to not care about their card list choices, which is sad.
Yeah, look, it's always a tough sell trying to tell Yu-Gi-Oh players to buy non-core sets, especially when it's you could argue things like this could be a little bit gimmicky to establish players, but it has an important niche, It's always going to be fun when you're hanging out with the boys and you pull out the 2-player set and you just build a deck and you just have fun. I don't know. I feel like in the hyper-competitive landscape of Yu-Gi-Oh, there's always room for a little bit of brain-dead gameplay,
Yeah. Speaking of brain-dead gameplay, I can't wait till next episode when we talk about the Phantom Nightmare stuff. Only because I want to talk about EMP Meow Mine. I'm just going to let you guys know what this card does based on its card artwork. It's IP Masquerade throwing a grenade that looks like a cat. So I'm excited.
Dude, sick card 4 reference.
I can't wait till I print a trap card called No Russian and it depicts an actual
You
genocide.
need to stop doing that. Okay. We have actually had this conversation though. It's a level 2. I think we need to defer to the level 2.
Yeah.
Oh no. Timmy.
It's a free special summon. We'll get to it next episode because a lot of these cards will improve Labyrinth to tier 1 status. I know that's the 3rd time people have said that, but let's get to a segment I want to do called Burnsy and Brock give unsolicited basic ass advice, where I give them a really hard question and they have to waddle through and try and give them advice on a really serious hard topic, and they put them on the spot for.
If someone's life gets ruined, you can't swim it.
Yeah, I've got the person that made this post 3 years ago on the line. All right, this is. Should I tell my girlfriend it was me who got her sister pregnant?
Are we still in a Yu-Gi-Oh podcast? Oh my god.
I don't think we are.
What is happening?
This is a whole different channel.
Hey, if you want me to go to r/Yugo, the
My
only
man-
thing there is just bad.
My man really lined me up for a promotion and then fired me in like one Jeez.
I got a
okay.
great deal for you.
Can you
Fuck
repeat
you.
the question? Sorry, I was not prepared for that.
Should I tell my girlfriend it was me who got her sister pregnant?
I don't know the energy of this podcast yet. Should I be annoying or should I give genuine advice?
Let Brock be annoying because I don't want his genuine advice.
go on.
Don't put him on the spot.
So,
Put yourself in his shoes.
here's the context, right? So, a bit of backstory. Been with my current girlfriend for 6 years.
Oh no.
Happy relationship.
Oh god.
I mean, I guess? Sure, right? One night, I was going with her to a family party, but she ended up being called into work.
This is getting worse.
As I'm still close with the family, I decided I'd still go knowing she would meet there later, right? That's fair.
Reasonable.
A few hours passed and my girlfriend rang and said she was going to have us stay in all night. So that's bad. I mean, you got
Yeah, look.
bummed out by your girlfriend. I ended up getting super drunk with her sister. Already a bad move. Around my age. Why does that? I mean, sure, right, as long as she's legal. And we ended up both having unprotected sex. Why?
God.
There's the hook right there. Yeah.
In the morning, we both agreed it was stupid and we should keep our mouths shut so we didn't break up the family. Yeah, no shit. Anyway, now she is pregnant and told everyone else it was a one-night stand, but it is confirmed mine. My girlfriend is so excited for her sister to have the baby, and it's driving me insane.
This
What
is-
should I do?
This is so fucked.
Okay. All right.
Oh, okay,
I
no,
feel
wait,
like-
wait.
Go on.
Before-
Bro. Go on.
How old are they?
I don't believe it says here. They are above 18, though
Okay.
I seriously doubt that they are below the age of 25.
If they were like 19, you have to tell her.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Like,
the
it was-
responsible thing.
Like, if you're a young age, you have to tell her, but like, if you're above like 23 or some shit,
I think what we're seeing here is that it's very much human nature to see. Say the look on your face. I feel like it just got worse as you were reading.
There is
Did it?
an update.
All right.
Oh
there is
no!
an update.
Oh god!
Give us the patch notes.
I'm scared.
Sister is keeping the baby, but is not interested in me being a dad.
Punch it.
Apparently, whoa, fucking hell. Apparently, the family is rich enough, so it's fine. So it like,
Okay, so it's not a matter of care.
so it's not a matter of care.
That's fine.
However, no DNA test has been done, but the sister claims that he's the only person that she's been with, but refuses to give a DNA test.
So they don't
I'll
actually
tell
know
her to
that
go
it's-
to the fucking doctor. And
Yeah.
get a DNA test.
Yeah. Okay. Look, I think as I was saying before, I'm gonna put some brevity into this. A little bit of like turning it back a little bit. This is a classic example of people think that lying is the way, and it is in some ways, but this whole situation would be avoided with some honesty.
Who would have guessed?
Unfortunately, now that you're in too deep, there is no clean way to get out of it.
They're rolling in the deep, man. I don't.
I find it very hard to make jokes about this kind of thing, I'm gonna be honest.
I mean, get like the only if some one of my friend came up to me and said this, and the entire story of it happened in my ears, and I got over the bias, I don't like drinking. The only thing I would have to say is good fucking luck.
Realistically, I think that takes a little bit of coldness to say that.
Sure.
But like, it comes down to personality. I think there are ways to do it. I think if the storm that happens now, if you say it, compared to if you said it the week after or when you find out that they're pregnant, or even go about it in a classy way, approach the people in the family that you at the very least feel like won't kill you on sight, and just say, look, this happened, I don't want to cause any issues, but I couldn't sit on this.
Yeah.
Whatever course of action is going to suit everyone best, I will follow. I don't want to be the kind of person who's not there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the child, yeah,
If you
because
say that 6 months later,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
what does that do? Sick. We've just been sitting here for 6 months thinking it's a one night stand.
I mean, you've created life into the world. She is demanding to keep it. That's a life you got to think of now.
And at the end of the day, I don't want to label it a mistake because things like that happen every day. But actions like that require two people. You can look at perspectives all you want. You can look at the grey sides of it. At the end of the day, unless you're an incredibly biased engine, which admittedly a family could be,
Yeah, sure.
you don't no one objectively is going to look at that and say that's entirely your fault. Alcohol's involved. A clearly vulnerable person is involved.
We don't know the ages. That is correct. I mean, I always
It's a
think.
bit weird if they're both 92. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Firstly, biologically, you know, like.
Yeah, that actually, honestly, at that point,
Not a word of insult. I'm impressed.
no wonder that money's not a problem. They probably own fucking real estate in like
They've got a
Texas.
portfolio.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they are white.
By the three whitest men currently
The
sitting in a suburban house.
three whitest boys, branded boys. Yeah. I mean, well, he definitely doesn't have a girlfriend anymore, and definitely won't have a girlfriend in the baby mom that he has. I honestly want to take a colder approach as I usually do and say, not only is it your fault, I wouldn't put liability past you. I don't know if you're vulnerable, which is fair. If you are, then sure. But you can't let alcohol be a reason, because that was your decision to drink in the first place.
Yeah.
You're not. I was gonna say the R word. You're not dumb. You know what alcohol does, right?
I think that's a fair take. I think that's a very. I don't want to say closed-minded, but I want to say the diplomatic version of closed-minded. If you know what I'm saying, like.
Who has sex with their friend's sister? Even drunk, I wouldn't do that.
I think there are levels to this.
Well,
I'm not defending
Yeah.
that.
say much because I haven't been drunk yet.
I'm not defending the action. Whatever. Decisions are decisions. They typically should be nobody else's business. I think the energy of putting it on Reddit and saying, hey, can you judge my bedroom life? You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of hard to sort of say, but
I do that all the
And the
time.
girlfriend just scrolling through Reddit and sees that.
I think if any of us in
And
this
just
room,
sees the name. Wait a minute.
Ooh.
Babe, get the fuck over here.
that was the least macho way I've ever heard you speak, my friend. I have
Babe.
to be honest. Babe, get the fuck over here.
Babe.
That's how men talk.
Yeah, and then the response would be,
Yeah.
"The fuck did you just say to me?" And then,
Yeah.
"I'm sorry."
Babe, come back.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that they're putting it on Reddit is like,
I think if
I feel
any
sorry
of
for the
us,
kid.
if any of us in this room has ever been vulnerable, ever in your lives, you
No.
know that it's not just cause and effect.
yeah,
It's I am sad, so I'm going to drink. I am going to drink because I am feeling lonely. There's some level of companionship here that I am seeing because of the alcohol. The phrase "one thing led to another" isn't just an excuse. It's a genuine reflection of people's mental health. It can be argued as a mistake, but you have to be in the mental state to make that mistake at the same time. Just again, to be a bit deep, I don't think it's fair to really like condemn. You can sort of say, yeah, that's dumb. You shouldn't have done that objectively, but clearly he wasn't thinking objectively.
yeah.
Sorry to ruin the memes, but I just.
Yeah, how dare you be serious in the serious podcast about
I
Yu-Gi-Oh?
think that in certain parts of the world they'll be done. So you know.
Yeah, that's fair.
Take that as you want.
I think, to be honest, I would need more context to be as cold as I always usually do. I just feel bad for the kid. That's fucked up. You got born with like a semi limit. You got born with a semi limit.
Give us another one that's not so existential.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's been an hour and 15.
My best friend of 15 years activated Mystic Mind. I'm considering caving his skull in.
Me 22-year-old male has a roommate, 18-year-old male called Brock. His bedroom is filled with Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Okay. we don't fucking talk about
Oh,
that.
God.
Next
The
question.
best Reddit question. Me, 16-year-old boy, just watched my grandpa, 78-year-old man, get trapped in a card by the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh! 58-year-old man.
I was like, where are you going with this?
After being inflicted a heart attack by young billionaire 22-year-olds.
I do have one that I want you to imagine. This is our friend, the Bald Sicilian.
The board
Oh
Sicilian,
no.
who, as we all know, is a legend in our landscape.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's probably going to be on one of the first episodes. Is it okay to dump my girlfriend because she's not cool with my dog living inside my house?
You've got to.
This is such a Max
You
thing.
have got to look at your priorities. Are
Yep.
you going to go with someone who, despite the difficulties in your relationship, is going to love you and give you companionship and, make your life feel meaningful?
Which one are you talking
Or are
about?
you going to pick a woman?
Yeah. Fuck that bitch.
Okay,
Fuck that bitch.
No. Episode 1, they're going to think women
Yeah.
No. Women are great. Women are amazing.
I don't
I
know.
never looked into a dog's eyes as it like wags its stupid little
Dogs
tail.
are mostly innocent.
There are
Women are
currently
50-50.
two very cute sausage dogs outside that I'm fairly sure even if you were trying to attack them, they would look at you with loving eyes and say, "Oh, hello."
That's true. I did attack one of them with a hammer, and it just looked at me, and I was like, I can't do it.
You fucking what?
Yeah, anyway, that brings us to the end of the podcast. We have a small little segment I wanted to put these guys on the spot for the first one, but they'll have actual answers next time. Recommendations. One movie recommendation from one of us, one music recommendation from one of us, one, let's go, anime TV show / book recommendation. If it's okay with you, I would like the music one this time.
Please, take that. Go ahead.
Power Slave, the album by Iron Maiden, is something I just reviewed.
Okay.
I would give the album a listen to, and then if you're somehow watching this, Mum, go give the album rating a review.
Okay. Very good. Brock, do you want book, movie, or anime?
I'm really down for anything.
Go on.
If Brendan wants music, it
So-
really depends what you want.
I can do any of them. So you just
Well,
go ahead
same
and
me.
pick.
Well,
Alright,
Brendan wants music,
alright.
so.
Sell us on an anime. We all know which one you're gonna go for.
you
Yeah.
know me.
I
Bible
know
Black.
You, quite
You
well.
know me.
I know you quite well, my friend. Go ahead. Go.
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 No dead air. It's a podcast.
It's your position. Go and sell us on an anime you like.
Just say the word. Or I'm gonna put an anime in your.
Black Clover.
Black Clover.
Oh, okay.
Tell us why we should watch Black Clover.
It's good.
I feel like it's really entertaining. When I watched it, there was not one single part where I got bored.
Huh.
I felt like with other animes, there's always like that one
Yeah.
there's that one arc that's like so boring.
Even in like Death Note, it gets like that towards the
Yeah,
end.
exactly. But with Black Clover, I feel like every single arc was just well written.
Interesting. I gotta watch it. It's something on my
I
to-do
never
list.
like felt like I was going to go to sleep on a single arc or a single fight or anything. The animation's like okay-ish, but like it's still pretty good.
Do you know when it came out?
2016, 17.
Oh, okay.
Very good.
Benji?
Yeah, look, I'll take a book. I'm a bit of a literary nerd. Fun one for everybody, because I've been rereading some of the classics recently. If any of you have never actually read The Curious Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that book is written specifically to keep its twist, like, not really known, because it's written as a mystery. If you can find some way to suppress your knowledge of that and just take it on face value and read it, it is a genuinely very good read. Because obviously in today's world we know the twist of that book, but if you go into it blind and you say, or as close to blind as you can, and you see what the book is trying to lead you down, and then you get to the end of it, it is a genuinely great read for such an old book. It's like, you can see why it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's horror, but like not really jump scare horror. It's atmospheric and really like deep-seated, disturbing kind of, you don't know what's actually going to happen or what has happened.
I love horror books because they can never result to a jump scare. Good luck trying to like have a horror pop-out book.
I was just going to think, you imagine reading The Shining and then you open it and a pop-up of Jack Nicholson.
I was gonna say like, creepypasta would be like, I was reading this old unupdated Pokemon book I found in a garage sale, and I opened up the next page and then you open up the page in real life and it's like Bidoof with like blood red eyes and you're like,
that would scare me and I would not sleep for weeks.
You're gonna be like one of the classics, and I thought you were gonna be like Minecraft Guide to Redstone.
No, that book's too fast for me.
That book's too fast. Alright guys, that was the pilot episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. A goodbye.
For when we get taken off the internet, please remember us fondly.